Sean Sosinski.
Hello everybody, how are we doing? Today is going to be quite interesting. First of which, a lot of us, we had to get our mind right just to get here. That's probably the hardest thing. We got to show up, we have to be willing to get through the door. The first step is just making it through here. The next step, sitting down, and everything kind of falls into place. We often hear lots of cliches about hard work works and, do your best, that's all you need. Nothing else is going to get better. There's lots of other things you hear, which some are correct and some are not. But mostly it's the time that it takes. Time to invest within yourself. Time to say, you know what? Whether I made a good choice or a bad choice, this is the choice I made and it's led me here. I have pictures in front of you of what I used to look like. The top, I was 326 pounds. The bottom, I was 182. I did that in 1 year. And with this, what I did is, the first year, it took me an entire year to understand I needed to get myself right. The hardest thing, and that was before I even decided to exercise or change or do any of that, the first year was getting my head right, because I was in the wrong space. I could say, I have 5 kids, right? I worked 3 jobs. Their mom didn't work, so I was struggling and hustling and everything, but the truth is I had all the time in the world, I wasn't utilizing it right. And mentally, I wasn't ready for the change. The hardest thing to accept is when I had to look at myself in the mirror and see what I saw. Of course, I didn't like it. When I did, I had to understand, good or bad, I led myself to this route. It was my decisions or lack of decisions that led me to it. That was the hardest thing. Damn near broke me for a year until I finally got things together and I started acting on it. I realized that I had the same time as this gentleman over here, as Andreas Charles, as anybody else, as Warren Buffett. They think they have more time than us. It's 24 hours in a day. It's 86,000 seconds, and every second counts. It's what you decide right now that can be turned into an hour, maybe a week, tomorrow, whether we show up for training in the morning or we decide not to. Little things like that that make the difference. And that's the biggest thing, is why we're here. We're trying to make the difference. It doesn't necessarily have to be physically, but if you notice, people, when you start training physically, you start adapting with your mind. I never knew how weak I really was, and Lord, was I weak. Until I started losing weight, and then I started understanding how strong that I could actually be. Until I started realizing the potential that I had, that for whatever reason, I shut in my potential because I covered it up with layers of fat, bad food, poor attitude, poor judgment, and thinking that sitting on my butt watching television or doing whatever else somebody else is doing, hoping that I'm going to get the same type of results. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. We know because we hear it. You've been told this a lot. Some people don't understand, but that is the truth. Day in and day out, we work the same job for the same time, the same everything, and we wonder why we don't get there. Well, it's the little choices that we make, or it's the time it takes to invest within yourself, like today, so we can understand the mindset to get there. Now, not everybody starts at the same place, and that's difficult. I started well behind everybody else, and I made poor decisions to get there. Now I'm trying to come back where I finished multiple degrees. I'm doing personal training. I teach as a college professor, which is the same thing. Soon I'll be coaching for Yuma High as one of the varsity coaches, defensive coordinator. That's nice. And I start the Fire Academy next month. So I have a lot going on now, but I had to develop myself through the process. And the biggest thing is to understand it takes time. If I didn't set out the time and do the extra work, I was never going to get there. And that broke me up, like most of the time. Like this picture, every time I look at it, of where I was to where I am now. And that's why it says the me I see is the me that I'll be. When you look at yourself, you have to ask, who are you? What are you? Most importantly, what you can be. We never stop to look at it and say, okay, well, today is one day, tomorrow's the next day. Then we have a whole nother set of days. We have a week, we have a month, we have a year. We underestimate or overestimate what you can do in a day, but we underestimate what you can do in a week, or in a month for that matter. Some programs, like these gentlemen that are going through real estate that are next, right there to the next level, well, you have to give yourself time to develop. You don't wake up tomorrow and then own a solar equipment company and all of a sudden, boom, become successful. It takes time. And most importantly, it takes his dedication when nobody else will do it to get there. So if you want, and these are one of those cliches, if you want what others don't have, you have to do what other people are not willing to do. The question is what are you willing to do? Are you willing to sacrifice something today in order to become something better tomorrow? Because that's the real choice. How attached are you onto these physical things, or work, or job, or an atmosphere, or a relationship? Because, hey, I'm recently separated over the last couple of years. I was in a relationship 13 years and 3 kids and thought it was everything. And then I started to realize how toxic it really was. It took me a long time to develop that or to understand, because we think we're not better than others. Like, this is just how life is, but that's not true. This is what I deserve, but man, that's not true. We all have greatness within us, and it takes just a little bit of spark in order to get you there. Some find it through music, others find it through gym, through training, through investing, through just being yourself. The one biggest thing when I would ask my clients, and even to this day, most people can't understand, 95% of most people don't get this question. So I ask, what makes your heart sing? What makes you be you? What makes you happy? In us is this desire and this drive, because we're all here for a special purpose, myself included. Often we dabble around for years and years and years. We might not understand who we are, but we understand that we have gifts. And we are all blessed with certain gifts. And the thing is with us, God gives you these gifts and talents, or higher power, or whatever you believe in, because I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. So we are gifted from above a certain type of talent. And that's his gift to us. Now our gift back to him and to the world is utilizing those talents to fulfill your purpose. And that's what we're here doing. We're trying to discover who we are so we can fulfill our purpose. We look at the world and we think it's broken, it's messed up, there's so many different issues. Why is the world like this? It's always going to be like this. A whole bunch of mess that goes with that. And the more you worry about the outside, you forget about the inside. Most importantly, you forget about you, about what you're supposed to be or what you should be doing. And that's a hard thing. You have yourself that has this inner calling and true power, but we often cloud it because we have to work, because we have bills, or because of time, or because of anything else. Those are all choices, like getting up and going to work, like deciding not to get out of bed. Like, you know what, I ain't gonna run these 2 miles a day because I'm gonna binge watch these episodes on Netflix. Not to say that it's bad, but it's simple decisions that make a huge difference in the end. And in that process, it only takes one spark, one idea, one devotion, or just a simple thought that says, you know what, I'm just tired of waking up angry. It took me a couple of years before I woke up one day and just said, I have enough. I'm tired. I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to have to get up and be angry at people in the morning, or think like, how come I don't deserve something else when I'm making all these poor choices to get there? That's a hard thing too. That is something that we take time and years to develop. I'm 39, I'll almost be 40. It took me a lifetime to figure out half of the stuff that I figured out. A lot of these millionaires don't get big until 50 and 60. We look at people like Colonel Sanders, right? Look at KFC. He didn't even make it until he was in his 60s. A lot of these other people try it for years and years and years and decades, and nothing happens until a certain time where everything comes together. I'm hoping this year will be my year as everything begins to come together. But it's not because I've been working hard for these 6 months or the last 6 years. It's because my whole life has been devoted for a process, some of which I listened to, others of which I didn't want to listen to. But somehow we stumble our way until we find our purpose. So for yourself, you want to ask, what is your purpose? Who do you want to be? Now the question is who you are right now. And that's the biggest thing. When you look at yourself, who are you? You could be Jesus from the gym. You could be Muhammad Ali. You can be whatever you decide, because nobody's going to tell you no. Well, family and friends often are the first ones that kill our dreams. We're like, dude, I want to do this. You can't do it. Why? Because you said I can't do it? Because you lack the possibilities yourself, or because I don't actually have the talent to do it? The thing with resources, and we're asking about that, and there's lots of things that I would like to do. Question number 3. And even then, I'm sitting there thinking, like, finances is one, time is another. You know, I could say kids, I could say a bunch of other things. But realistically, it's not because we lack resources, it's because we're not resourceful enough. We're not utilizing our assets or our talents the way that we need to be. Somehow we let certain things sleep, like, I'm using training examples because I'm a trainer and we train a lot in the gym. You look at your best features, you're like, man, my shoulders look good, my chest looks good, but then you look down here and you're like, but my abs are kind of, well, don't look at that, don't look at that. I know it's a little sloppy, but don't look at my abs. Like where are your quads? Oh, they're underneath these pants, it covers them up, you know. We want to showcase our strong points, which is good, but you'll never get anywhere if you just negate your weak points. Because the weak areas build up to the strong points. You build the weak muscles, you build the weak sections of the house, the whole foundation becomes stronger. We can't just build on top of build on top of build, because if the bottom foundation, if your bedrock is not solid, it's all going to crumble. It's like building houses on sand. You know it's not going to get anywhere. It's going to look good, it's going to be fantastic, beachfront property. As soon as it shifts, everything comes crumbling down. It's very easy. The thought process is easy. Doing the steps you need to, not so much. A lot of people say, well, they say lots of things. And I'll tell you, for you to reach your dreams, it's not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to struggle. You're supposed to have questions. You're supposed to have doubts. You're supposed to hit so much opposition. It's when you question, am I doing the right thing? Will I ever get there? Who am I now, and is this the process for me? Because that's the process that's testing you to see where you want to go, what you want to do. So I published 2 poetry books, and I have another one in the making, and my publicist keeps bugging me because they want me to publish more, and I just don't want to continue to go down that route, or in this case, I feel like I don't have enough time. Most of the time, you're hit with like, you can't do it, you can't do that. You look for venues for music, sometimes you get turned down. If you just got turned down after the first 10s, you're never going to get that one. You know, most of this is just numbers and numbers and numbers. You know, me and Andre work with a ton of clients. If we got upset with every client that said like, no, I don't need your training, or turned down, or you're like, you know what, bro, I got this. All right, then we just walk away. Right? Same thing with soul. Sometimes you got to kick down 100 doors before you get that one. And all you need is that one. So when you sit here today, I want you to look deep within yourself and find out that one. First, understand there's a bunch of us in here, we're all individual and unique, but there's no one else like you. You are the one. My man here, 18 years old, Elijah, getting ready to conquer the world, and he starts at a great area because he is eons ahead of where we are. Because we can't make up for time, but there's no excuse with talent. So look inside yourself. Figure out you're the one. Figure out where to go from there. And then when you find out your passion and what makes you sing, what makes you achieve your greatness or your destiny, you'll be on the right track. Don't let anything push you aside. Don't let anybody negate your person, your ability, your strength. Because we're all weak in certain areas. And trust me, we all have our faults. There is nobody perfect. You would never find the perfect being, job, instant situation, nothing. Even if you were given all the money in the world, somehow you still wouldn't be happy. You know, happiness is the key to life. The problem is what makes everybody happy is different. But in this case, just look inside yourself. Take a moment to reflect, decide. And when you do, your life will be that much better. Everything you ever had